Okay, so this is assignment 13, my video 2. For this video, I chose some Tableau data that was based on, it was NFL info, just based on people drafted between 1998 and 2013. And there are multiple sheets in there. The sheet that I ended up looking at specifically was combine information. So from the NFL combine, where people show off their skills, they compete against other college recruits, and then it weighs a factor into where they get drafted, how well or how high they get drafted, should I say. So switch over to this guy really quick. So we have just the basic setup here again. Same thing we did last time. Let me open this guy up. And we can just take a look at this. So this is here's my selected columns. These are the variables I used: bench press, 40-yard dash, vertical, round they are drafted in, and position that they play. So those are my input variables for my k-means screen or widget, excuse me. All right, and finally, we'll pop open my scatter plot. Take a look at this guy here. So what I got going on here, I have on the x-axis, I have the 40-yard dash. On the y-axis, I have bench. I tried to filter through this giant list and take out people who weren't drafted. And there still are people who were drafted who didn't participate in certain events. So we got some outliers here. You can see on the far left, this green cluster is basically people who did not do the 40-yard dash. And they're kind of out in no man's land here. We got people down here who didn't bench at all. They didn't do the bench event. So we kind of got a couple outliers that aren't super relevant to what we're looking at mainly. So what I thought was interesting, based on how this is clustered, is these clusters represent, or you can show groups of players or similar positions, and it makes sense. It's kind of grouped by positions, and the bigger, more burly guys, linemen, you're gonna see up here. You're gonna see in this section here, these slower times, but more reps on the bench press. And so if we look towards the top here, a defensive tackle, lineman, and here we got a running back, surprisingly, but defensive tackle, defensive end, defensive tackle. So a lot of these blue clusters in here are mainly linemen. Oh, would you look at that? That guy was from South Dakota. Huh. Interesting. And then we get into the orange here, and this is more of a mix. These are a bit more of your kind of middleweights when it comes to football, I suppose. You get more linebackers, fullbacks, tight ends, guys who aren't linemen playing on the line. They're probably not 6'3", 300 pounds, but they're probably 6'2", 250. Not quite as big, but still pretty big guys. So that's where you see a lot of this orange broken up into. And then we finally go down to the red, and this is where we got our smaller players for a football standpoint, also faster. So people who are speedy, lightweight. You can see they're not putting up as many reps on the bench press, but they're doing a lot better on their 40-yard dash. So I thought this is a pretty interesting clustering breakdown. I was pretty impressed at how well that this program did that just by associating different things through the silhouetting. And but yeah, that's my NFL breakdown. So you can see, just from the correlation here, people who were slower but had higher bench press tended to be linemen. People somewhere in the middle tended to be more middleweight players like quarterbacks, fullbacks, linebackers, and then the faster people with less reps were corners, safeties, receivers, which all makes sense. I mean, if you blindly asked me, I would answer the same way. But just to see the computer distinguish that by itself from the inputs was pretty awesome.